finely tuned to make a move and a shot work, and it has to like flow with the camera. It has to be smooth. Dolly grips are usually very calm and patient individuals that can, you know, just execute the move perfectly. If something was lit well or gripped well, then you haven't noticed it at all. Your attention hasn't been drawn to it. We got a lot of things that work as sails. Wind picks up. We just need to weight it down with as much as we can to keep it from flying away on us or falling and hitting someone, I guess.
Switch through the lighting closer.
All right. Yeah, sure. Bring it in. We're doing good. I mean, it's just a level of tiredness at this point where everyone's kind of just wanting to get through it. I mean, I don't think anyone's particularly cranky or cross, but it's just, you know, we're running on low energy. If someone is trying to start out in the business, it's a matter of just being in the environment. They need to just get themselves out on set. A PA or an assistant director or a grip or an electric, makeup, wardrobe, anything. You learn so much from being there and seeing what people are doing. What it takes to be a good grip is someone who is able to take direction, work well in a team. You need to be able to adapt to any situation. Someone that can just jerry-rig something that isn't gonna fall apart. A quintessential grip would be MacGyver, you know? He has a Swiss Army knife, a paper clip, and an elastic band, and he does a camera rig.
Okay, we've got one more coming your way. Stand by. Okay. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Here we go.
There's nothing like standing on top of a 30-story building with your toes hanging over the edge, and you're about to drop a person 30 stories down, and you're just standing there looking down, going, this is my job. It's the greatest.
So here we go. Rehearsing, final rehearsal.
Our 4 stunt people will run down this path. With one stationary camera there, one that will dolly across, one at the end of the pipe here. By having this on the backside of the tree, they don't see the mechanism, but they see the result of the peat moss and cork go flying over top of our stunt people. So this is the 45-foot special effects trailer. We carry everything from 12-volt batteries, cobweb guns, water nozzles, valves, underwater flashlights to fans, motors, air fittings, pneumatics, hydraulics. This is the explosive area of the truck. We carry everything from little tiny sparks to the great big gas bombs that you see on TV when you blow up a car, a building. A 10,000-pound trip that would, if we wanted to hold a car on the side of a dam, this would be cabled off to a safe position. This would be attached to our car. When required, this is activated either remotely or by manual. It releases the cable. The car would fall to its doom. We're going to use a remote frequency firing box. This will shoot up to 8 shots from a distance of 200 feet. Into that, we would have the wired hits that when required, we would push the button and the effect would happen. 3, 2, 1. That's what it's all about. That's a big myth that, a special effects guy is just some weird little guy who likes to invent crazy little things. It's not true. There's so much involved in special effects between the rigging, the pyrotechnics, the explosions, the pneumatics, the hydraulics, the water, the flying of people. It's endless on what we do.
Yes, there you go.
I've been on the show for 8 years since the pilot, and this was one of my favorite days. We set off this explosion. It was so big, when the black cloud came over, the whole area went dark. That explosion was 500 feet away. Always before you do a stunt or a big explosion or something, you want to go and test it first. I have 100% faith in all of my guys. When your head is over top of a mortar and you're loading it with explosives and you're putting in the fuel for the big fireball, you got to know that on the other end of that wire that it's all safe and you trust the person on the other end of it. You trust them with your life. And that goes for everybody in the crew. We all have to trust each other. And that's a big part of the job.
We know exactly what these charges do because we've done it so many times. And but the joking part is that if you ever dare say it wasn't big enough, you better watch out next time because it's going to rock your socks. But it's fun. That's the way. It's like playing Army, but playing for real and playing safe.
We've got 4 guys firing a 30-shot box number 1, 30-shot box number 2. My uncle was a special effects coordinator who passed away a long time ago. And that's where I kind of got the bug when I was 10, 11 years old. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in the movies. I wanted to be a special effects guy. I started sweeping the floor at an effect shop, cleaning and learning, climbing the shelves and grabbing a piece of equipment and trying to think about what it was, how it worked, how I would use it in an application. We can really spice up the end of the run for you if you want.
Yeah,
Come out and I would feed snow into the wind machine and I'd do whatever I could to be involved somehow. Most time you didn't get paid. Didn't matter. You certainly don't do this job for the money. You do it because you love to do it.
So how many charges you got? Have you counted them?
120 so far.
Really? That's great. Yeah, just put extra here at the end, like you say, the finale.
Okay, done. You can't always count on the hours that you're going to work, the days you're going to work. Sometimes, depending on the situation, different shows, you're working 18, 19, 20 hours a day, 6 days a week. Other times you're on a show where you're making smoke for 4 hours a day, and the other 8 hours you're in the trailer working on little gags or reading a magazine when there's nothing to do. It's all out, or hurry up and wait. Just stand around and wait for your thing to happen. Special effects is always the last shot of the day. To learn smoke and rain and wind, those are the 3 hardest things to do, but that's where you start. You'll never perfect it.
Cinematographers are very particular about the amount of fog in the air, especially if it's just a light haze. So you really have to keep an eye on that yourself and constantly ask them how they like it, because every time they change a camera angle or a lighting setup, it can affect how the smoke looks.
The number one thing I tell people who want to become a special effects guy is get a welding ticket. Welding is a very, very huge part of special effects because you make everything. We make everything that is seen.
If you want to do it, go get a welding course, get a mechanics course, be someone who can work with metal. And that's what a lot of the guys are looking for, is the ability to do that.
I have a welding ticket. I have an electrician's ticket. I have a gas fitting ticket. I have my underwater scuba diving ticket. I have my Class 3 power engineering boiler ticket. And I try and know as much as I can about everything else.
There's not really one specific thing that you need to know, because you do anything from a rain shot to explosions to blowing smoke somewhere.
Special effects is one of the hardest departments to get into.
It's a lot of networking. It's almost like you're an entrepreneur, and you've got to create your own jobs. So when you're out there, you've got to start finding people, get to know them, take them out for a coffee, introduce yourself, and First things first, always be willing to work. If they call you, don't say no. Say yes. Always say yes.
Ready here? Peter, DeLuise, you ready? Yeah, you call it. All right, let's go. Hot on the effects. We're gonna roll here now. Rolling, John. Speeding. Visual 6910 for a tick one. A-mark. A-marker. We're gonna roll here now. Rolling, John. Rolling.
You do your job, you feel good about it.
Worked all right, I think.
You roll up your wires after you do your explosion. You roll up your cords after you make somebody fly.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Thank you very much. 7 a.m. Back at the bridge. Very good, Liz. And the effect boys.
You pat the guys on your crew on the back and say, job well done.
Laverna. That's good, Dad. Really great.
You pack up all your stuff and you go home at the end of the day knowing that you did a good day's job.
Look at that. That's great.
Yeah, it's not for the glory, it's for the fun and excitement.
Because the branch goes. It's like a punctuation at the end. Yeah.
You want it at the end.
Yeah, good work, Ray.
If you can see it in your mind, you can build that, no matter how complicated it may seem. There's nothing more rewarding than to finish a set. Like you look at it and you go, wow, look what we just did. This is great. We have our carpenters, and then we have our scenics who build the real nice stuff that's hidden behind the scenes. And then we have my lead hands who keep a group of guys working all the time. Then I have my foreman, and then I have myself, which is a coordinator. We're kind of low in the food chain, but at the same time, we're quite responsible for a lot of the look of the show.
This is all red plexiglass, aluminum backs. So this is the base and the top are the same shape with these big round columns that fits inside this little track.
You see painters and carpenters on the floor, all building one little tiny piece, all fits together. The piece that you made will fit with mine, and the piece that you made will fit with his. You build this, you build that, and it all comes together. Sometimes they don't even know what they're building, but it fits somewhere perfectly, absolutely perfectly. You work for the designer, and you make the designer look good. So as a coordinator, I get to play. I get to play in all the fields. And if you're willing to learn, you'll learn from the senior members. I think everybody has young spirit here.
This is a sign that we built. Of course, the BE is, this is an aluminum box that we had made up. And then we made up a base to match the location. This is a location that, this is a granite that our painters painted to make it look like, exactly like the location. So when we take our piece into the location, you won't even know it's not real.
Downside of this is that this is your life, and you miss out. You miss out on your family growing up. You miss out on, you miss out on a lot. You miss out on a lot of your friends. You miss out on going to parties.
This is our lovely designer, Katrina, and she is here on her day off.
Day off? What's day off?
As a coordinator, your mind's on it all the time. So my wife always says, you're from 4 in the morning to 9 at night. You're on the job. And then from then on, your mind. Pack up your hammer or pouch or paintbrush or whatever you own and walk around to job sites. There's a guy building a little addition onto his house. There might be a guy putting a roof on his building. And you walk over to them and say, like, I want a job. Are you hiring? And they'll look at you and they say, well, you look like you're ready to go to work. You got your lunch, you got your tools. That's experience. Whatever it is. Look around your town. Look at things that have been built. And look at it and say, geez, I think I could build that. Most high schools have wood shops, paint shops, automotive shops. I took a carpentry course every year from grade 7 till I graduated from high school. And you start thinking of things yourself that you can build. And people will hire a carpenter that has an imagination, and you get experience that way. You can do renovations on people's homes. You can help your grandmother hang a door, fix up her porch. It's all work experience. And that's what it takes. Like if you're a framer in the real world, you frame. And then the finished carpenters come in and finish. In the films, it's different. Look, focus in on something that you've never done before.
This will be on a rolling deck. Those columns that we looked at will be stacked up beside it. And this will be all done in aluminum and black arborite, this whole piece here. So all the monitors will fit right inside.
If you get in, pay attention, listen to everything that everybody says, and don't think you're smarter than anybody else. Only speak when you think that you know what you're going to say is right. As time goes on, the more you say the right things, the more people will pay attention to you. If someone says, move this, move it. Build this, build it. There's no whining, there's no crying. That's the quickest way to get out of this industry. Just think how cool this job is. That's what keeps us going. No matter how horrible it may seem, it's pouring rain, you're in the mud, you're building something. We all say, this is the coolest job. You get to meet actors, you get to hang out with really creative people. So I always knew that this is what I was going to do when I grew up. How I was going to get there, I didn't know that part yet. So I worked for display companies. I worked as a carpenter, I worked as a painter, worked as a plasterer. I worked in theater. I built sets for theaters. I did whatever I could to be a part of this industry. The feeling amongst painters and the carpenters and the set dressers and the art department, when the actors and the producers walk through the door and they all look at the thing and go, wow, thank you. And they come and shake everybody's hand and thank you. And that's, to me, that's the most rewarding thing of all, is just a one word or two words, thank you. Thank you. And that's all I need. And that's more than the money that you make in this industry.
That's the greatest part of our job, is that we get to go to locations and see things that most people never do and never will. We get access into high security places that most people could never get into, and not everybody can just walk down to the city morgue and see a cadaver laying on a table all cut up and separated in different spots. I mean, it's not something you want to see necessarily, but it's just an example of some of the strange things that I've seen in this job. We're going to go look at the Buddhist temple, which is our best option. Well, a locations manager, their job is to obviously find locations. We should figure out which days we want to look up the street or look, how much of the street we're going to see. Then I'll make sure we have it booked and we have it signed. But every time we sign the street, it's big bucks to pay the city. I have files. I have a whole bunch of files. I have many hundreds and hundreds of these boxes full of different files, from the ridiculous to the sublime. Once I've taped them all together, I think I can then take the director through the location as if he was walking through the location.
Yeah.
So you guys realize that the paint will be different when we get here, though.
If we partition it, like this color, these colors are okay for Sunday school.
The tech survey is when you have all the department heads come and talk about what they're going to do, what they want to do. So everybody's taking notes and making sure that it's all there on the day when we arrive to shoot.
And I think that this is like...
Well, the thing that you can't do here is after, we can be here till dusk, but after hours, you can't shine lights up the hill towards the residents. A good location manager is always paying attention to the environment around, no matter if you're working or not. And some of the best locations I've ever found have been when I wasn't working. You're not looking for necessarily what it is you're looking for, and what I mean by that is, if you're looking for the interior of the Titanic, you don't go and look for boats, you go and look for buildings that could play as the boiler room or the whatever, How do you see it all laying out here? Because I'm trying to get a visual, because Ron, the son of the guy who owns this land, was a little bit concerned about us just completely filling this thing up with all kinds of stuff. So, and because I haven't seen our unit, because we haven't started shooting, I didn't know exactly how many trucks we'd have. Your job for finding locations as a location manager is just the beginning.
This could be, catering right here. Put on the little flatter area next to the Mazda, that would be where the Grips electric truck
running. Often the hard part is making sure you can get, 1,000 feet of trucks and 100 people into the location to film. The entry level for locations is you start out as a production assistant, a PA.
We just generally help out. We're production assistants. So if we have guys running cable and they need a hand, so we'll come and help them out or something like that. Or, if there's someone up there and they're lifting up a dolly, we'll give them a hand.
You're sort of a gopher on set and you help out in all departments.
What we'll do is something as simple as garbage. If there's garbage on the ground, we got to clean that up because we want to keep these people happy where we're shooting.
If I put some signs up and some pink tape, people get to set instead of wandering through Riverview, so I will just be putting signs up and flagging tape.
Rolling. Quiet. Everybody quiet, please.
Very important to know the functions of other departments. Sound department's going to need to know when you come into a location all the fans and the noises that are happening in that particular building.
Well, it's a church right off the bat, so it's made to echo. We have a couple, at least 100 people in there right now.
Confirmation, she will receive the fullness of God's Spirit.
You sit on the bench. The benches are old, right? All you have to do is rock a little bit to the side and they'll creak and crack, crack, crack.
In the words of our Lord Jesus, our Father.
And cut.
Cut, thank you. Any small sound is just going to echo throughout this place, so you kind of got to keep a hitch on that kind of stuff.
The pay on a union show is nothing to whine about, but on a non-union show, if you're getting $100 a day, when you count up the amount of hours that you put in for that $100, all of a sudden you're making less than minimum wage. But you shouldn't think of it like that. Think of it like, it's one step on the ladder that I want to climb.
You're always meeting people. You're meeting lighting guys, grip guys, directors. You can when we're doing casual time or something on break, if I'm not busy doing something else like fire watch, I can go up to the director and I can say, hey, how's it going? How did you get into this? So you're always learning stuff like that, right? Some shows you can't do that, but on this one you can. But you're always it's also getting your foot in the door, right? Learning the industry, learning what techniques you can do, what you can't do, stuff like that. So, I'm not going to be doing this for the rest of my life, but it's an excellent way to kind of get a basis of understanding how a shoot's going to work, how it's going to be organized. I know a lot more now than I did before I started this thing.
In the locations department, you're quite often the first impression to the public.
How you doing, big guy?
You have to be friendly and outgoing. You just have to have that personality, that be a real people person.
Yeah, it's terrible. Driving, and I don't even know.
In our department, you're fielding complaints, and when someone's complaining, you have to be able to listen to them.
There's loud noises, like we got dogs barking over there, or guys running chainsaws, cutting down trees, or anything like that. We gotta cut them off from doing their thing, or ask them nicely.
You could enter into the film industry and just start PAing and work your way through it. You would have to be very willing to volunteer. The more time you have on set, the more people will call you.
I get some resumes of guys that have been to film school and produced this, and they've, directed that. It's like, well, you know what? You're applying to be a production assistant, so to apply with all kinds of a resume with all kinds of producing or directing experience means nothing to me.
And I just sent my resume. I made sure it was very professional. If you have spelling mistakes and things like that, they will just throw it out. They don't have time for people that don't put the effort in.
So when you're on a show with 10 different PAs locking up different areas, if you're down a desolate road and you're sitting on a chair and there's nothing to do and you've been there 10 hours already and you see a set of headlights coming at you, you don't know who those headlights are going to be. Maybe it's the producer. Maybe it's just somebody driving along. But get up, stand up, smile, wave them through. You're getting paid to meet all these film people of various experiences and so on. You're getting paid to meet them and network with them. It's a pretty good in. And there's no Academy Award for location managing. But yeah, it's really satisfying to take a director into a location or a crew into a location, especially if the director and the art department just really loves the look and they're just like, wow, what a great location. You feel good that you're able to find it and to offer that to the film.